Jeremy, I'll wait for you to.
I have a brand new computer, but it shows that it is recording, so we should be good.
Okay. All right. All right. So I'll call the meeting to order for January 12th. I don't see any. The only one would be George, if he wanted to comment on anything. Hearing nothing, George, so we're going to move on. Approval of minutes from December 8th.
Move approval of the minutes.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the December 8th minutes as submitted? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, minutes are approved. Licenses and permits. Number 1, review of an application to amend the agent for the alcohol beverage license held by UW Provisions Company Incorporated, doing business as UW Provisions, 2315 Pleasant View Road, to appoint Robert L.D. Williams, Sun Prairie, Wisconsin, as agent.
No issues from the PD side, no issues on his background check. Everything looked good.
Okay,
Yeah, I would move approval.
I'll second.
any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. License and permits number 2, review of an application to amend the agent for the alcohol beverage license held by Middleton Lodging Investors LLC, doing business as Hilton Garden Inn, 1801 Deming Way, to appoint Jessica E. Rivera, Baraboo, Wisconsin, as agent.
Again, no issues with this one. She's already actually got an operator's license through the city and background looks good, so I'd recommend approval.
All right, this is Katie. I'll move that we approve.
I'll second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Ordinances. Number 1, an ordinance relating to the appointment procedure and terms of city boards, commissions, committees and commissions.
Yeah, so I've gone and made several of the changes that we talked about from last time. Looked into, on the tourism ordinance, we questioned about the terms, and I looked, and the statute does prescribe the 1-year term, so that's kind of back in the ordinance as it is. And then I also add a little bit of language in that section our 2.0, our general things about when vacancies occur and compensation. There was just some language that I saw out of the Landmarks Commission. Well, that's the other thing. I moved the Landmarks Commission into Chapter 2. But there was some language in there that talked about, what happens with vacancies and that there's no compensation. And yeah, it just seemed like kind of generally applicable language that,
Okay.
rather than just discard it entirely, I put it in the general stuff. So
Okay.
I understand there's some other issues that have.
Well, I did have a question. At the equity team meeting, the question came up about having minors serving on municipal committees. And it was stated in I think it was a League of Municipal Wisconsin Voters or whatever. And they said that there is nothing in state law that prohibits minors from being appointed to serve on municipal committees, boards, or commissions. And that you only had to be 18 to be elected. And I asked Mike, and he said, well, it's completely a policy decision. And I thought that we should bring it forward. It's timely since we're working on this and get people's thoughts on it.
Yeah, I mean, that was my conclusion too. I couldn't find anything, and I mean, my only caution would be, I certainly don't think it would be appropriate for higher profile certain committees with making, real consequence, like Plan Commission, Public Works, for 2 reasons. Obviously, it's higher level stuff, but also I think just there's more pressure potentially and everything, and I just don't. But I mean, those are all still policy concerns as well. I mean, as a matter of law, I don't think anything prohibits it.
Yeah. Katie or Dan, do you have any feelings on it?
On whether or not we should.
Whether we say 18, is that what you're asking?
Well, right now, it's under number 5, and it's C, appointments shall be adult residents of City of Middleton. And then we have some committees that have youth members on them.
Right.
Right.
And, going on what you said, Matt, about their profile, even any committee, I think we'll look at like bike ped. If somebody didn't want a sidewalk and they could really lobby on this minor, and I just think that is a lot of pressure to put on somebody that's to vote on things like that. I'm just, as a mother, I don't think I would have felt comfortable with my kids, but that's just me. So
I think as far as for me, I mean, as far as a policy, I think it's best that we have adults serve on these committees. I mean, we have a number of committees, like you said, where we do have student members, and that's totally appropriate. But I don't know that, I'm not sure how much of an issue it would be anyway. I like Matt said, with some of the more substantive committees, I don't know that whoever serves as mayor at that time would necessarily appoint somebody, but as a general rule, I guess, except where we've made the case that student or youth members have a specific viewpoint or expertise to bring, I think we're good the way we are with the 18, the adults.
I
okay.
agree with you guys.
And any committee can have a minor on them, but they're usually non-voting. But I didn't see, when I looked at the youth commission, it didn't actually say if they were non-voting or not.
Right, I noticed that too.
Oh, okay. Well, two things. Yeah, I guess we should. I'm realizing now. I mean, I think the intent was that the youth commission be non-voting, but it occurs to me that subsection C in 2035 ought to say adult residents, or make some exception for appointment of non-voting members.
Right. Well, I think it covers that when it says except where specifically spelled out. At the very top, we said the very first sentence of this is.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so that probably doesn't need to be changed.
The only other thing on the youth commission is the first sentence shall consist of at least 6. Is it 6 or is it more than 6?
Which?
It's on page 3, the last paragraph, how constituted.
Come on. Well, that at least 6, that's the current language.
So does that mean you can have 10? Does that mean you can have?
Yeah, I suppose it does not set.
And then it says at least 3 citizens members at large.
It does say that. I don't recall if that was specifically the intent to have it wide open. To be able, it seems to me, it seems to me, I recall having some discussion about that, but I don't know if it was for this committee, just about having flexibility to, if you find somebody else who's really, be able to kind of appoint them and bring them on. But
yeah,
I mean, I don't see it, particularly for this committee, a problem to leave it open-ended that way. It's not like
okay.
it's not like you're gonna have the mayor, do some court hacking or something to sway votes.
Well, yeah, the whole basketball team from the high school might want to come and join it. And
Well, right. I mean, it does having it open like that does leave some
Right,
openness that you have to just kind of trust that, but I mean, it would still require both the mayor and the council to appoint more than,
yeah. Yeah, and it does say at least two, but I think that we should spell out the two, at least two who, well, if they're younger than 18, it says 18 years of age or younger. If they're 18, I think they should be able to vote. But if they're younger, I don't think that we want them. Does that make sense?
right, yeah, let me see. Turn the page to the rest of the ordinance language here. Yeah, actually, yeah, this does not seem to. Yeah, it doesn't seem to talk at all about whether a younger member could vote. I mean, so I guess as the language exists, this younger member is not any 18 or younger than 18 would not be prohibited from voting.
Right. And I don't know if that's the committee that it works for that. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, certainly if there's any committee where we would think it would be appropriate for minors to be voting, it seems like this would be the one. But
Yeah, because otherwise you get confusing. If you have a student that's 18, that student can vote, but if you have a student that's 17, that student can't vote.
Yeah.
and what if their age changes in the middle and all of a sudden now you've got an extra voting member that you didn't have?
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
That's
So
awesome.
either student members of this committee, either we give them the vote or we say they're not voting members. I have absolutely no issue with giving student members the ability to vote on this.
On that committee. I
I have
agree with
no
that.
problem with that whatsoever.
I agree with that.
Do we
Yeah.
know, is that the current practice? Do we know?
I don't know. I'm sorry.
I don't either.
I mean, because right now, as I read the language, current language
Nothing prohibits it.
would allow it, yes.
Yeah,
But I just
nothing
don't
prohibits
know.
it.
Okay.
Well, with our adult language that we have earlier, do we need to codify that? And say
Well,
that they are voting members?
do we feel we need to clarify that's, I mean,
Or
because
just let it go?
in our other ones, we where we have youth members, we do specify in other ones they are non-voting. Here it does not say they're non-voting, so certainly, but obviously that kind of interpretation requires you to take a look at a couple different ordinances.
Yeah. So, well,
I don't know what the current practice is.
yeah, I don't either. I did have another, do we just leave it as is, then I guess is.
And
I
don't
think
fix it if it's not broken.
Yeah, let her ride.
I had two more questions. One was about adding an alder person to the Landmarks Commission.
It currently does not have one.
No, it doesn't.
I have no qualms with that. That's fine by me.
Right now it's just 7 qualified persons.
So I would think it'd be alderman and then 6 qualified, because the alderman definitely probably isn't qualified. Actually, I'm on it now.
For sure.
Might not be.
Maybe I ought to say 7 qualified persons, one of whom shall be an alderman. I don't know if we want to have the implication.
And the other one I wanted to talk a little bit about was the ethics board composition. When they met earlier this year, there was currently the mayor is the ex officio member of all the committees, and including this. I did make a call over to Brian, the HR manager, just to get a little feedback from him on how this works. And it said, there's the alderperson who's non-voting, and he said, one shall be a city public official or public employee who is not an alderperson as a non-voting member. He said, no one wants to step up and do that position. And he said one thing that could possibly work is if you appoint someone appoint an department head to serve on 1 year rotations. And if something would come up where they would have to recuse themselves just for that hearing, there would not be a public official or a public employee on that. But not to bring somebody else in mid-year for a certain case or a certain hearing. And he thought that having the mayor should continue to be the ex officio member.
Okay. Sorry, I guess as I was hunting for this, both in the ordinance and here, I'm not sure I digested what that means for. I thought I was listening to you, but I guess.
Okay, he thought that having a department head appointed for 1 year rotating terms. And in the event they would need a conflict of interest would arise, they could recuse themselves from a hearing.
And so this would replace,
The city, you'd have the alderperson, but then the next one is one shall be a city public official or public employee.
okay,
He never, who designates which department, what's the rotation and who's going to be in it? I don't know.
I think this would,
But right now he did say that no one is stepping forward to
well, then I mean, these are all appointed by the mayor.
Okay,
And so,
okay, that makes sense. And that they would, and then it would be confirmed by the council.
right.
Right.
So I mean, I think in the language as we have it, kind of leaves that could be a department head, could be any employee, but I mean, if the problem is no one wants to do it, well, you're an employee if you get appointed by the mayor.
Yeah. Well, this says, okay, the mayor shall appoint a public official or public employee to
Right.
serve 1 year rotating term. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just unlike any of the other members, the mayor's the chief executive officer of the city, so
Mhm.
you
But and the
can't make
council.
some citizen be a member of something, but he can ultimately make some employee do it.
Yeah.
If,
Yeah. And the council they have the confirming vote. So that's good. That's all I
Yeah.
saw.
I'm trying to find, I took notes on a couple of things that I found. Mostly my comments were questions about how the appointment for the dates for citizen members are pushed back to the third Tuesday in May instead of the third Tuesday in April. And there were a couple places, and I'm trying to get my printer to print out my page, so because I can't be on the document and on the
Yeah.
on this Zoom call. There was a subsection 5. Sorry. And appointments to positions reserved for alderpersons. Oh, got it. Okay. And okay. I think I cleared up my own problem on that. But under conservancy lands, I was wondering about the person from the town of Middleton and the town of Springfield. It says they are appointed on the third Tuesday of April. And that would be the same as the alders. Is that what we want?
Well, I think so, because I mean, the reason why we kept the alders on the Tuesday was just because to keep in line with the election and changes in office.
Sure.
And that same
And they
thing
kind
is-
of are the same.
yeah,
Yeah.
that would be subject to the same.
Okay.
And plus the whole reason for doing the switching the others to May was to kind of alleviate a burden on our city clerk, which
Sure.
the towns are just going to manage their appointments. I don't think really, I assume don't really do much administratively there too. So that's another good reason just to keep them on the same schedule as the alders.
Exactly. And then under the EMS, there was another question, same related, full-time paramedic staff representative, appointed on the third Tuesday in April, same.
Yeah. Oh, wait, I don't see.
EMS C paragraph.
Yeah. Well, actually, yeah, 2-year term. Yeah, it doesn't really, this language here. Yeah, I guess, we don't really say when the appointment is supposed to happen. It's implied that it's for a 2-year term, but since, yeah, the EMT representative doesn't fall neatly into the citizen or alder category, we probably should say expressly.
Well, it's more like a citizen in that it's not an elected position. It's a position, I mean, they're a member of.
Right. Yeah. So the question is, well, first question is, yeah, when do we think the EMT? Now, since this one, again, it seems to be the EMTs doing kind of most of the legwork, do we keep them? I don't think it really makes much difference which way we go, but I do think just because the EMT, I mean, it's clearly not an alder, but are they truly a citizen appointee? I would like to specifically say.
Are they more of an employee, like a staff?
I would think so.
Yeah.
Either way, I think we should explicitly state what employment schedule they are on in this paragraph. I don't think we should leave that. And like I said, right now, the implication is it's April, but because we have the term commencing the first day of May. Well, and actually.
Yeah, I mean, it says under C, it says this representative will have no voting authority regarding budgetary matters and shall be appointed on the third Tuesday in April for a 2-year term.
Oh,
What is it?
2-year term. Huh?
But that's what we're making most of them, right? Oh, but if it's a staff person
All but
or
all.
alder, it's 1.
Right.
Something tells me that this has probably been the director most.
I expect that probably be true. Well, as I'm sitting there thinking, I think probably the other reason why we didn't specify a date by which they have to do it. I mean, the council has to meet and everything. I mean, the EMT representatives, this not specifying the specific date to do it, I think gives them a little more flexibility of when they decide they want to do their appointments. I mean, because I think, I'm just trying to find the existing language, get back to it, but I think that's kind of how the existing situation works. Yeah, that basic language there is really unchanged.
Those were my only comments. Thank you for all the time it took. And
Yeah, man,
Kathy, you've been tenacious too, so good for you guys.
Well, we'll see.
did you all have the chance to read the report too? And
Yes,
is it helpful?
yes, very much.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it'll be particularly good for the council members to be able to get a handle on what we were doing and what we were trying to do.
Mhm.
So yeah, the report's very good.
Well, that's a lot of commissions.
Yeah, one thing I think we may want to, I don't
Do was create a little bit more time so that they were kind of a drop dead date. This is when it's supposed to be done, because that wasn't always being adhered to.
Right. Yeah. Did Julie just cover what you wanted with tourism?
I'm sorry, Kathy, I came into the meeting late and I missed the first part of the discussion.
Oh, no, I just want to make sure that tourism, you wanted it just to say Wisconsin, not a Middleton establishment. Is that what I picked up from what you sent?
What I was striving for, and Matt and I did have a conversation a couple of minutes ago, was just consistency with interpretation
Okay,
of the state statute, because last month there was some discussion about changing the terms of the commission members, and the state statute has a provision for 1-year terms.
right.
And so this proposed change to this language, the language as it appears now is in the state statute.
Okay,
But I support the intention of the revision. I'm just wondering if there's a way to keep that language in there as is, and maybe add something to the effect of with a property in the city of Middleton. And that way we're maintaining what the state statute is requesting, but we're also addressing that desire to make sure that there's somebody from a Middleton property
okay.
that's on the commission. Does that make sense, Matt?
Yeah, I just saw your email here. And so what I would do, I mean, one, I don't think I think what we have it complies with the statute, but I don't have any problem with just throwing Wisconsin before hotel and motel industry. So it reads representative of the Wisconsin hotel and motel industry in the city of Middleton.
That works for me.
And then, let's see.
Thank you, Kathy.
So the only other change, I think, to what we have in the packet that we're talking about is adding the alder to the Landmarks Commission. And so I would suggest, I guess, saying the commission shall be composed of 7 qualified persons. Just trying to work, try not to disrupt all of this language and work in alder somewhere in there. Yeah, maybe seven qualified persons, one of whom shall be an alder, competent.
No,
Yeah.
the pressure.
Well, maybe composed of 1 alder and 6 qualified persons, etc.
Yep, that's perfect.
Okay. We'll just have to leave it with the implication that the alder may not be qualified.
That's just a given. Come on. We might get lucky. Who knows?
Well, that's true. And So that sentence would then now say the commission shall be composed of 1 alder and 6 qualified persons, competent, etc.
Mhm.
Nice.
Okay. So are we ready to send this to the council then, or?
That's, I guess
I
that.
have one more comma for you to add.
Sure.
Under the report,
Okay, let me pull that up. There.
the first sentence of the report.
Right out of the gate, huh?
Yeah, sorry. The License and Ordinance Committee concerned about the lack of uniformity with respect to the appointment term length and other organizational provisions across the city's various boards and committees, comma,
Yeah.
undertook a review.
Of the ordinance created, or, yeah.
Right, just
Yep.
after committees between, yeah, undertook.
Got that.
Otherwise, I can't find a thing.
Oh.
Well done.
Okay. Now I did draft it to have everyone sign it. I don't know if you like that formality or if you just want to approve it and forward, because if you want this on the council agenda, I don't know if there's an easy way to get you to all to sign it, or it's up to you. If you want me to just take the signature lines off of it, or we could submit it with the blank signature lines and you can also, well, you're not going to be at the council meeting either, so.
Yeah.
And so just submit it the way it looks.
Yeah.
So it's got the name of the committee members. We don't need to sign it. I don't think that's necessary, but it shows that it's our recommendation to the council and send it to the council that way.
What I'll just do, maybe I'll just put approved this day of such and such, and then I'll kind of remove the lines where the signatures would go and just.
Sure.
Okay.
Yep,
Great.
that's fine.
Okay.
Tons of work.
Well, it needed to be cleaned up, so it was time.
Yeah.
Okay. So do we need a motion to approve this and then forward it on to council?
I will move that we approve the new guidelines for appointment and terms, and that we recommend it to the council.
That
I don't know if I-
include approval of the report.
It does include, I move also that we approve the report on how this undertaking came about.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion or comments? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Carries. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Congrats, guys.
Okay, ordinance number 2, an ordinance creating an exemption to the Class A quota.
Yeah, so this, well, where do I have that now? We talked about the issue with the, the hotels and the shops in there, and that committee decided it wanted to go with a exemption rather than expanding the quota. And so that's what I did.
So do we have any, maybe Jeremy, you would know, do you know how many, is this gonna free up a number of quota licenses?
I guess that's a good question. I hadn't thought about it. I guess I'd lean on Matt for that one. Does this remove them from our current quota?
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know how many Class A establishments are in hotels, but to the extent there are, and so let's say we're up to the quota, and let's say we have 2. those will now all of a sudden not be counted against the quota. You'll have 2 more that can be issued. So yeah, this does, yeah. Well, yeah, it sort of expands. I mean, you still are at the same quota, but it just means that these don't count against that quota anymore.
So these are, no, I want to make sure that we're clear on this, is that this is only for little shop areas. It's not like if they have a bar in their hotel.
Well, if they have a bar and have on-premises consumption, they'll need a Class B.
Yeah, so that's different. This is only for people to buy what they want, take it to their room or wherever. And
Correct.
Right.
okay,
Thank you for asking that, Kathy. I wasn't exactly sure of that either.
okay,
Yeah, we aren't changing the type of license that's needed for different activities. We're just saying,
okay,
if you are doing a Class A sort of operation on a hotel property, you aren't subject to the.
okay, got it.
Right.
Okay. Anybody want to jump into making a motion on this, or
Yeah, I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries, no opposed. Okay, perfect. That looks like the conclusion.
Wow.
What time is it? 6:07.
Yeah.
Not bad. Nowhere near the record, but it's pretty good.
Well,
Not bad.
Matt, we won't get another project for a while, so we don't like out like this last one, so anyhow. Okay, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Viv, we are
Thank you all.
adjourned. Thank you all.
Thanks all.
Thank you guys.
Have a good
Good
night.
night.
All right, thanks.